Warning, the following video contains some upsetting and unsettling topics about violence against children. Nothing graphic is shown and all the stories are entirely fictional. Nonetheless, some might be upset at the content. You have been warned. Hello YouTube and welcome to Prime Productions. I'm here to help enhance your tabletop gaming experience. If you're new to this channel, I primarily cover Paizo tabletop role-playing games like Pathfinder and Starfinder. So, it's October as of the publishing of this video, and that means the spooky season is upon us. So I thought I'd do a Halloween-themed video for you all, and what better way to do a spooky video than to do a video on mascot horror characters. Now, as a quick recap, in case you are completely lost, mascot horror is a genre of horror primarily centered around video games. It generally involves a player stuck in a haunted or otherwise horror-themed locale that is typically associated with children. A Chuck E. Cheese-style pizzeria, a kindergarten, a toy factory, a theme park, something like that. And in all of these games, someone, usually an evil corporate entity, has done some truly horrific things, and that has led to several deaths and also many monsters coming to life. These monsters are usually in the guise of the mascots of the facilities they are from, thus the term mascot horror. Now, the genre has been around for a long time. After all, evil clowns are a thing going back decades. But it really took off around 10 years ago with the advent of Five Nights at Freddy's, an at the time little indie horror game about a security guard surviving several nights in a haunted pizzeria, specifically trying to survive killer animatronics. The game blew up in popularity, spawning many more sequels and now a whole franchise. And of course, the success of Five Nights at Freddy's inspired others to make mascot horror-themed games as well. But not all the mascots in these games are villainous monsters. Some could be argued to be, dare I say, player character material. So today I thought I'd show you how to play some of the more heroic-ish good guy mascots in Pathfinder 2e. So I'm going to go over how to make 4 of these characters today. Because we'll be doing 4 characters, I don't have time to do an in-depth character build for each one. Instead, we'll be doing this lightning round style. I'll just give you a bit of their background and then list how to build them with their ancestry, heritage, ancestry feat, background class, including subclass, and then any additional considerations to round out the characters. Today I'll be doing Glamrock Freddy from the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise, Banban from Garten of Banban, Kissy Missy from Poppy Playtime, and finally Rambley Raccoon from Indigo Park. Oh, a quick side note, all of these games take place in the modern day except a few which actually take place in the future. Because of that, there is often modern or sometimes sci-fi levels of technology, so I'm going to be making use of some of the stuff from the Starfinder 2 playtest. Remember, Paizo themselves said that Pathfinder 2 and Starfinder 2 are cross-compatible and that you should be able to interchange the two systems. The first character we're going to talk about is Glamrock Freddy from the Five Nights at Freddy's sequel, Security Breach. In this iteration of the game, we meet Glamrock Freddy, a so-called animatronic that is actually a robot with a fully sentient AI. Freddy is trying to help a kid named Gregory who is trapped in a massive pizzeria called the Pizzaplex after hours. See, Freddy has been disconnected from the Pizzaplex computer network, I think, but all the other animatronics have not, and for very complicated reasons, those other animatronics are trying to, unalive Gregory? At least I think that's what's happening. The game isn't very explicit about exactly what is going on. Oh, also Gregory can climb into the small chest cavity in Freddy that for sure should not be able to fit a child. Starting off, Glamrock Freddy is a robot entertainment animatronic. Throughout the game of Security Breach, he gets upgraded to have more powerful claws and a sonic scream as well as enhanced eyesight. So let's go with Automaton for our ancestry, in particular Mage Automaton. This heritage gives Freddy a free arcane innate spell, and we can use that to grab the spell Gouging Claw to represent that claw attack he gets in-game. For the ancestry feat, I would grab Reinforced Chassis so that he has the equivalent of breastplate without actually having to wear armor. Background is pretty simple. Freddy is an entertainer. He literally performs on stage for hundreds of kids every night. This nets him the performance skill, theater lore skill, and fascinating performance skill feat. And yeah, for class we're going to have to make Freddy a bard. It just makes the most sense. He's charismatic, good at performance, and is quite practiced in deception. He's able to lie to the nighttime security guard convincingly, at least. This also lets him pick up spells like Haunting Him, a sonic blast that can mimic the sonic cry he gets in the game. For subclass, I'm going to go with Enigma Bard, which lets Freddy recall knowledge about any subject. I think this fits him best as he knows a lot about the Pizzaplex, from how to fix the computers to where all the security offices are. For special considerations, there's only one. He can pick up the Sentinel dedication to give him training in medium armor, which makes him proficient in that reinforced chassis of his. See, bards start off only proficient in light armor, and reinforced chassis is medium armor. Other than that, we are good to go. Now, I could not find out how to get the build to allow Gregory to fit inside Glamrock Freddy. If that's the thing you want to focus on, I suggest building your character as Gregory and make him a summoner. Then Glamrock Freddy can be a construct Eidolon, and Gregory can pick up the Merge with Eidolon feat to allow him to join up with Freddy. Next up is Banban from Garten of Banban. Garten of Banban is famous, or perhaps infamous, for its tongue-in-cheek approach to Mascot horror. It is patently ridiculous, with very silly voice acting and such, but it does have its jump scares too, and the story is horrific. Garten of Banban is about an evil corporate research facility built underneath a kindergarten? The company used something akin to genetic engineering to build living, breathing mascots for the kindergarten to do something? Act as teachers and caregivers to the children, I think? Anyway, surprise, surprise, the monstrous mutated experiments get out and start running amok. The titular Banban actually starts off as an antagonist, wanting to eat the player character, but we quickly learn that this is because of his anger issues as a byproduct of him being a genetically created monstrosity. He later gets this under control and helps out the player character several times throughout the games, so I'm going to call him a good enough guy to count as a possible player character. Starting off for his ancestry, let's make Banban a flesh warp, a kind of created or mutated creature in Pathfinder lore. This fits him best, I feel. For his heritage, we can go with created flesh warp because, well, Banban was created. This means our character doesn't need to eat or drink, though they can if they want to. This is actually supported by in-universe documentation. For ancestry feats, I have to take Startling Appearance, which gives Banban the Intimidation skill and the Intimidating Glare skill feat. This seems appropriate for a creature that is a monster and jump scares you. For background, I'm going to do something a little different. See, the lead scientist of the project, Dr. Uthman Adam, donated his DNA to Banban, which somehow copied his memories into Banban? That's not how DNA works, but whatever. Anyway, I think maybe using the playtest Starfinder background of Scientist would be good here, as it gives Banban the crafting and life sciences lore skill, which Uthman would have. Also the Assurance feat for life sciences lore. As for class, yeah, you probably figured it out as soon as you heard Rage. Banban is a barbarian. Now, Banban doesn't have any weapons, so I'm going to make him an Animal Instinct barbarian, specifically an Ape Animal Instinct barbarian. This allows Banban to use his hands to bash the snot out of people for a D10 damage per strike while unarmed. As for special considerations, I'd grab the Raging Intimidation feat at level 1 so he can intimidate while raging. Later on, I'd grab the Animal Hide Barbarian feat at 6th level, which effectively gives Banban the equivalent of studded leather while raging, so he doesn't have to wear armor to have a good defense score. Moving on next is probably going to be my most contentious pick, Kissy Missy from Poppy Playtime. So the story of the game is pretty dark, even for Mascot horror games. An evil corporation that made kids' toys started, again super dark, unaliving kids and stuffing their souls into giant versions of the company's toys to force them into being a workforce in their factories, I think? Okay, why? As Rick and Morty said,
that just sounds like slavery with extra steps.
So this is Kissy Missy, a giant toy with most likely a child's soul inside of it. Unlike many of our other characters, we don't get much information about Kissy Missy, so we'll have to do some guesswork. We do know that she is a gentle soul, but she can attack or at least restrain people when she is on edge. So I think it's obvious here, but a soul inside a toy? Yeah, Pathfinder has an option for that called the Poppet. Though Poppets are small-sized and Kissy Missy would fall into the large size category, so you may have to talk with your GM about homebrewing an exception. One other option is that we could take the base ancestry for Centaur, which is large-sized, and use the custom mixed heritage rules for Poppet. As a reminder, custom mixed heritage is an optional rule where you can use another ancestry as a heritage. So that would get us base Centaur stats with the Poppet trait. Bonus, at level 5, she could pick up the Centaur ancestry feat Accommodating Mount, which would make it easier for others to ride Kissy Missy as seen here. Now, I know Kissy Missy looks nothing like a centaur, but it works out mechanically. As for her first level ancestry feat, well, Kissy Missy is pretty helpful, so I would grab the helpful Poppet feat. This gives her a bonus to provide the aid another action. Now for her background, if your GM allows it, I'd go with Returned, which is all about coming back to life, but it is a rare background. This background doesn't make Kissy trained in any standard skill, but instead gives her the Die Hard feat and the additional lore feat for Pharasma's Boneyard lore. Now listen, no class is gonna fit Kissy Missy perfectly. She's a lover, not a fighter. But as I said before, she can at least restrain you pretty easily, and she doesn't wear any armor or use any weapons, so I'll go ahead and use the good old standby for such characters, Monk. Now, monks don't have a subclass, so we don't need to worry about that, and really I don't see any special considerations we'd have to have for her. Lastly, we have Rambley Raccoon from Indigo Park. Now, full disclosure, as of the posting of this video, only the first installment of Indigo Park is out, so we don't know much about the story. What we do know is that the game involves a YouTuber breaking into an abandoned theme park to get some YouTube content and getting trapped in there. Luckily for him, the park's AI, with the personality and appearance of the lead mascot of the park, is there to help him out, maybe? There are some indications that the AI may be up to no good, but we do not know for sure right now. Anyway, something has gone wrong, and the real, living mascots from the park are hunting down the player character. Now, Rambley is an AI and doesn't have a physical body, so we are going to have to be very loose with our Rambley build here and pretend he has one. This isn't actually as crazy as it sounds. In one of the minigames in the first installment, we play as Rambley in an arcade game, and when we beat that arcade game, an item from the arcade game crosses over into the real world. Well, the world of Indigo Park, not the world of the arcade game in Indigo. You know what I'm talking about. Anyway, if this berry can cross over, maybe Rambley can as well. In fact, he does say as much.
Whoa, where'd you get that? Rambleberries are my favorite! Oh, if only I could jump out of the screen and take a big bite. Don't eat it! Maybe I'll be able to one day!
Now, there are a lot of options for Rambley's ancestry. Awakened Animal Raccoon is probably the most obvious one. Another one is Tanuki, the magical creatures that look like raccoons but technically aren't. But there's one option I like better. I'd like to go with Yaoguai. Yaoguai are an ancestry of something, animals or objects that have achieved sentience and transformed into a real, tangible, and sentient being. And I think that could be what happens in the arcade cabinet. If Rambley could jump out of the arcade cabinet like the berry did, then that would be how I would do it in Pathfinder terms. Now, Yaoguai are medium-sized, so you'd have to homebrew something with your GM because Rambley is clearly meant to be a small-sized character. For heritage, I think the closest is Born of Item, as Rambley would presumably come from a computer mainframe. For ancestry feat, I'd like to take Polymorphic Escape, which would let Rambley get out of a grapple check by turning into something else temporarily, maybe like turning back into computer code. As for background, well, Rambley is quite good at getting around the computer mainframe and presumably accessing bits of the park he may not be authorized to access, so I would grab the background Hacker from the Starfinder 2E playtest. This nets Rambley the computer's skill, the infolore skill, which would be basic internet lore, and the Freaker skill feat allowing him to hack computers without a hacking toolkit. For class, I think Witchwarper is appropriate, again from the Starfinder 2 playtest. This class allows Rambley to modify reality, which is kind of what we see with that berry thing. Specifically, I'd go for Analyst Witchwarper, which lets Rambley interact with the real world as if it was computer code. And you know what? I don't think we need any special considerations for him other than house ruling him to be small size. This seems like a pretty good Rambley raccoon to me. And that's it. That's what I got for Mascot horror-themed characters converted into Pathfinder 2e. What do you think? Were there other mascots you wanted to see me cover? Any characters you would have built differently? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're down in the comment section, make sure you like and subscribe. That tells me, as well as YouTube, that you like this kind of content and would like to see more. And until next time, thank you, good luck, and happy gaming!